Hi, I'm JP.
And I'm Adam.
I've never seen Lost.
I have.
I'm told that it's good.
I liked it.
I'm told that it made sense.
Sort of.
But we're watching it out of order.
So it definitely won't make sense.
But it might still be good. Since we won't expect it to make sense, we'll still be able to appreciate each episode on its own merits as a 1-hour story.
Sometimes 2 or 3.
As opposed to just a fraction of an ongoing, sprawling, and increasingly complex tangle of relationships, personal stories, mysteries, mythologies, experiments, social dynamics, unnatural disasters, unanswered questions, and hot tropical hookups.
Are you okay?
I'm not sure.
Because you lost me a little bit there at the end.
Well, good, because I've been lost since the beginning.
We're lost on Lost. Welcome everybody to Lost on Lost. I am Adam Busher, joined as always by the snowbound JP Russell.
Hello.
Now, before we get started, we want to take a moment to talk about Mira Furlan. This episode is airing in August, but we are recording it at the end of January, just a few days after the untimely death of Mira Furlan. Mira was the actress who played Danielle Rousseau on Lost, which was just one role in an interesting and varied career. Not only is Rousseau one of my personal favorite characters, Mira is also beloved by the fandom of Babylon 5, where she starred as Delenn for all 5 seasons of that show. She and her husband were forced to flee her native Yugoslavia in 1991 in the early days of the Croatian War of Independence due to a smear campaign against her by Croatian media. The targets of this campaign were her active feminism and her choice of partner film director Goran Gajic, who is an ethnic Serb. Of course, the Yugoslav wars are a complex and horrifying part of our world history and far too important to tackle here on our silly little podcast about this silly little show. But I would certainly encourage everyone to go learn something about it, especially the Yugoslav feminist movement, which Mira championed both in her life and in her professional work. Rest in peace, Mira. You will be missed. Now on to the show. Today we are talking about the Brig, the 19th episode of Season 3 and the 68th episode overall. Our centric character is everyone's favorite someone special, John Locke. The Brig takes place in the 88th and 89th days after the crash of Oceanic 815. JP.
Yes.
You got a recap for us?
I do.
Let's do it.
This episode, I'm going to cut off Adam's little technical intro and just let everyone know that this episode is clearly directed by the master of jumping around story, Quentin Tarantino. This episode also stars Sawyer's sexy feet. The Brig centers around my main man, Johnny Locke, as he wheels and deals his way around peer pressure first-degree murder. Hurley and the rest of the Peanut gang are hiding a girl in their tent like it's fucking summer camp, and Saeed continues to be the only adult on the island. Jack and Kate come to realize that everyone hates them, a feeling shared by the audience since season 1. So you're telling me that hell is a tropical island and not Jasper, Alabama? I don't think that math checks out.
Oh my God.
We have a guest again, as we always do, the wonderfully talented Matt Scales. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Thank you.
Matt, so you are an actor extraordinaire, a man of many talents.
I've been called that.
Just now by JP for the first time ever in your life.
I mean, I wasn't going to mention that part, but
He's actively updating his Wikipedia page.
I said the quiet part out loud.
So Matt, tell us. Let's start at the top. Are you a fan of Lost? Did you watch Lost in its original run?
I did. So I guess I kind of watched Lost the way you guys did before it was cool, I guess.
Oh, what? Shit.
So when I was in high school, I started hanging out with like a group of people, and they watch Lost like religiously. Got together and watched it. They're like, you should watch it. I'm like, I haven't seen an episode, and they're like, great, come over, let's watch it tonight. There's a new episode, and I think it was like episode 3 of season 3. And that, and they didn't explain a damn thing to me before going there. They're like, no, you'll pick it up. And I'm like, what?
As a person watching the show out of order, I can say, no, you will not.
Having said, after watching like all of season 3, I then went back and watched season 1 and 2, and I was like, guys, there was no way I was ever gonna link up any of that shit without seeing the rest of that.
Oh Oh my
yes,
god!
I have seen all of it. Was very much a person watching it week to week. Watched the finale, series finale as it aired and everything. But actually have not gone back and watched it since I watched it through that one time. So
Okay.
it was
Yeah.
interesting
Was
to
that-
come back and watch this episode to be like, oh man, I don't remember shit. Oh, okay.
A lot happens in this show.
So what do you watch? What do you watch since? What do you? You're a fan of Lost. What do you watch in the meantime? Do you like to go for dramas, comedies, serialized, episodic? Like,
So I'm kind of scatterball, like a little bit of everything. One of my consistently favorite shows that I've probably watched through this series like 5 times is Law and Order SVU. Like that's my go.
I was waiting for you to say like, you know, one of the classic go-tos, like Mad Men or like Breaking Bad, like
Yeah, no.
Big
Olivia
ups to the
Benson,
L&L
man, Elliot
franchise.
Stabler all the way. It's a great background show.
Oh man, Law and Order is such a good show, but I don't know if it's quite as good as The Brig. Do you guys want to get into The Brig?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we can do that. The Brig originally aired on May 2nd, 2007. It was written by Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse and directed by Eric Laneuville. Damon Lindelof, we all know, of course, for producing the NBC hit Crossing Jordan, and Carlton Cuse for creating the smash CBS hit Martial Law. Eric Laneuville began his career as an actor, but he went on to be an accomplished TV director, not only directing 6 episodes of Lost, but also 1 episode of JP's favorite television show, Quantum Leap.
Oh, which episode?
That plays the thing.
I don't know that one.
You've
I don't know,
certainly
by
seen
name.
it, though, because it's one of 3 TV shows you've actually seen every episode of. I want to make mention of 2 quick things as far as trivia is concerned, which sort of feeds into what you're talking about, JP.
Is this a bit? You're just doing a bit?
It's not a
We're
it's
just
not a bit. It's
Let
a
him
trivia
riff.
thing.
Let him riff.
Yeah, I read this. I looked it up. You mentioned that, like, yeah, this one does jump around a lot, but this is chronologically the 4th episode that takes place completely on the island. It doesn't feature any off-island locations. It's only the 4th time in 68 episodes that has happened, which is kind of interesting. This is also only one of 2 episodes of the entire 124 episodes of Lost that does not introduce any new characters. Of course, a lot of these characters are new to us because...
I was going to say there's a buttload of people. I'm like, who's that?
But if you watched it in order, apparently there is no new characters in this, and that only happens twice in the whole show.
Watching shows in order is for suckers. I've said it before and I'll say it again.
So I just wanted to make mention of those 2 things. So I thought those were 2 interesting sort of things, especially the fact that even the flashbacks in this episode are on island flashbacks.
Yeah.
Which is not something we've seen on the podcast yet.
I want to start off saying that first and foremost, the thing I hated the most about this episode is the jumping back and forth.
It did not need it. It did not
absolutely
need
did
it at
not.
all.
Under no circumstances. Like, it could have just played out straight. They did a really poor job of establishing the back and forth.
Yeah.
And I got it, but it was just, it didn't need to be there.
I guess, like, looking a couple of trivia spots ahead of this complete on-island thing, apparently Locke does not appear in the 3 episodes that aired before this. So that might be part of the reason why they were doing this. It's sort of like a recap of what happened to Locke during the last 3 episodes.
Sure.
But I agree with you guys. There's no reason for it to jump around all like that. They could have shown this episode in chronological order, and I think it probably would have been more effective.
I guess it's probably just to delay audience like expectation who it's going to be in the room, because if you played it out in chronological order, all the stuff with Sawyer in the brig at the end is like literally the last 5 minutes of the episode.
Yeah,
so by the time you get to Locke going like, oh hey man, I need you to come with me because I need you to kill a dude, everybody's like, okay, well we know who it is because we saw. But again, that's more so like making your time format work for you instead of for the story. Like, it just didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
It could have been written in a different way where you didn't need to have that jump around then.
Yeah.
It almost makes me think that they wanted to stick with the convention of the flashback, which is like clearly established throughout the first several seasons of this show. But because they didn't have anything to flash back to off of the island, they were like, well, we'll just do a flashback to 4 days ago.
Like, it counts as flashbacks.
Right. This is still technically a flashback, right?
It opens up with John like burning a red manila folder that in the grand scheme of this episode does not mean anything.
My question, like now having seen the whole episode, is just well, why'd he burn it? He could have just like whatever.
He could have held on to that, yeah, and been like he could have given it to Sawyer at the end and been like, "Do with it what you will."
I thought about like making this a burning question, not only because he burned it, but like then why did he burn it? But like then I thought about it, I was like, I don't give a fuck why he burned it. He shouldn't. I'm like, whatever.
Whatever. Maybe he was just running out of things to burn for his fire, and he wanted to keep warm. I don't know.
It's chilly here on this hellish tropical island.
I'm pretty sure I memorized everything in this. No need to double check. I don't need it anymore.
Then we end up in with
Ben's in a wheelchair.
yeah.
Because sure.
I assume he had an ice skating accident.
No, we saw an earlier season 3 episode a while back where Jack did some sort of half-ass back surgery on him.
Oh yeah.
So we got Ben, and he's like, "Hey Johnny boy, I got something I want to show you." And they go into a room, and they got somebody tied up, and it turns out to be John's dad.
Yeah, Anthony Cooper,
kidney ass stealing con artist dad. And he's a biter now. That's a new development.
Super biter, yeah, for sure. I remember mentioning this during Confidence Man, how much Sawyer looks like a con man.
Oh, his dad.
Anthony Cooper. Anthony Cooper looks so much like. I didn't realize it until I looked at him. I was like, "Fuck yeah, that guy's 100% a con man." How is he successful? Because he looks like a fucking con man.
That guy wants to sell you some real estate in Panama.
Yeah.
It's like he conned his way into that job, probably. He's like, I was not the actor they hired for this.
It's the ultimate con.
Fuck that dude's wife, and he's in therapy right now for that, so I got this job.
So now I'm here while he's in therapy.
So yeah, Ben is being kind of creepy and sort of alluding to that they have to go to a new place, an old place. He's being very cryptic. That, yeah. And he says that they're leaving and that he should say goodbye to Kate, which, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't really touch on that anymore in this episode.
We do not see that. He shows up to talk to Sawyer, but he does not talk to Kate.
Okay.
So it's a weird line that kind of happens. He's like, she's just down the beach. Go say bye to her.
Because I think at this point in the flashback, 8 days prior to back in like day 81 or whatever, I think Kate and Sawyer might still be in the cages.
Fuck. All right, hold on. Let me get my desk here. Let me fix my mic. Let me get the whiteboard out.
That sounds right.
Same whiteboard that I have whenever I explain time travel movies. Hold on.
The way Ben kind of said that didn't make it sound like, oh yeah, camp is set up just down on the beach. Like, go say hey and everything. It was like, oh, by the way, you should say goodbye to Kate. She's just in the other room. Well, she was like on the beach in a tent, because
we haven't seen this on the podcast yet, but there's a big chunk of season 3 where both Kate and Sawyer are in the other's captivity.
We caught a little bit of that.
We've seen a little bit of it, but not all of it. And there's also a chunk of season 3 where like Jack is just like moved in with the others too for a little while.
That was where I jumped in. I first started watching the show when Jack, Kate, and Sawyer are all locked in cages for like 6 episodes in a row. And I'm like, hey guys, like, anybody gonna tell me, like, are they always in the cages? Like, what's have they been in cages for 3 seasons now, or what's going on?
Did your friends say, don't worry, all of these people deserve to be in cages? Is that how they explained it to you?
No, one of them just kept saying, nah, just wait until the polar bear. I'm like,
what?
All right, I don't.
That's
Polar bear.
okay. So yeah, Ben is clearly, like, just from the performance, he's up to something. We don't.
I mean, he's up
quite
to
know
his
what it is.
classic Benry, manipulative, confusing horse shit that he gets into. Like
Pseudo philosophical.
which is like, which I love, but also I hate. Because like watching Michael Emerson do his thing on the show, I love watching Michael Emerson do it. If I were a survivor, I would be like, why are you still talking? This is island with no repercussions. I'm just gonna murder you
Yeah.
because you're annoying the ever loving fuck out of me.
So I don't see any police. Do you see any police? No.
Okay, so we cut to from the end of this 8 days ago flashback. We cut to Kate and Sawyer together on the beach.
I don't care how much, like how many things you lay down. I don't care how many layers you have. If you're having sex on the beach, you're getting sand in your grundle. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or about it.
They would not be nearly as pleasant as they are after that. Like,
Right.
well, I'm just
It's
gonna go
gonna
for a
be-
stroll down the beach. It's like, God, I got sand everywhere again.
Right.
And I don't want to jump too much into like the interpersonal whatever that's happening between Kate and Sawyer, but like Kate obviously has some sort of like intimacy issues. She's got to bail. She can't sleep in her own tent. Sawyer's got a little bit of people pleasing going on because he's just like, oh, I'll come with you. It's like, no, dude, if she wants to leave, let her leave. Let the woman.
She gives
let her
the
be in charge of
worst
what she wants to do.
excuse. Like, oh,
It's a pretty awful excuse.
I can't sleep if I'm not in my own tent. What the
We've
fuck?
seen her
what?
sleeping in a cage. We've seen her sleeping in a cage.
You
on
slept in a
multiple-
cave.
at
You
least on one
slept
occasion.
in a cave. You probably slept in your own bed back home when you weren't in a tent before all
you
of
blew
this
it
shit
up.
happened. So don't give me that tent bullshit. Like
That's a pretty weak excuse.
that's where
Right,
you're
just be
staying
like-
right now. That's not like your home. Don't act like
Right.
I can't sleep unless I'm in my forever home, which is 2 blankets on the beach down
Yeah.
there.
Five
My-
tents down.
Cut that shit
My
out.
Tempur-Pedic. Like, if you want to leave, just be like, hey, I'm gonna go. Like,
Right?
you know? Like, what the fuck?
They playfully recover from this horrible awkwardness. And so she leaves, and he comes out, Sawyer comes outside to pee, and he sees Jin and Hurley just like there outside of a tent. And they have the best back and forth. Say, what the hell are y'all doing out there? What the hell are you doing?
You just taking
Go and take a
piss.
leak. So
So are we.
Yeah, together.
all
you know?
right then.
It's so, like,
I imagine Damon Lindelof just like sitting in his room at night, like, yeah. I think that all tracks with how humans talk, right? That works for me.
Jin's got to be like, Hurley, you got to take the lead here. Like, I got to hand the ball off to you. And Hurley just fucking
doesn't-
drops it.
Right, he doesn't know what's being said.
Yeah.
He's probably just standing there, like hoping in his head, like, God, I hope he's not saying we're trying to pee right now or something. I really hope that's not the excuse Hurley just came up with.
Very much so.
It's
I-
so
I-
good. Like in an episode that had almost no comic relief, I was so thankful for that little moment there.
So, yeah, he goes to relieve himself, what seems to be pretty far into the woods.
Well, yeah,
When-
I mean, you don't want to pee like right in it. Like that's just sanitary camp etiquette.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to, like, pee in the ocean.
Yeah. Not that salty, diluted mess. Nobody would
Yeah.
want that. That's
that
their
infinite-
drinking water, of course.
Of course. Can't pee in here. It's water. I'm gonna drink that later.
Fuck you, dude. Find a stream. No, I'm not gonna find a stream.
So then old Johnny Locke gets the jump on
the drop on
James
him.
because
Yep.
he's taking a waz.
What does Locke say? Like, do you want to zip up your pants or something?
He
Is-
does
yeah.
say that.
Is
Yes.
Sawyer's unit just hanging out the entire time?
I think
don't
so.
know.
You know, that's a trope that happens in like a lot of TV shows where somebody will surprise somebody while they're peeing, and you just see like from the waist up, and they're just like looking at them surprised, and they're like, "Do you mind zipping up?" And every time like that happens in a movie, I'm like, "Are you all literally just like staring at each other now with a dick hanging out?"
Right.
And it's like they forget. And as let me tell you, I've never once forgotten when my dick is just out. Like I've never.
No, that's how Sawyer runs a 5K is with his dick through his
dick out.
zipper.
Just turn
So,
around like, oh, hi, everybody. Oh, pardon me. Is my dick out? Let me put that back in.
if my dick's out, I can tell you the exact temperature in Celsius.
My dick knows when it's going to rain.
Oh, corn! You're gonna want to plant corn tomorrow. Yeah, John is like, hey, I need you to come with me.
Which, in this instance, if I put myself in Sawyer's non-shoes here, I'm like, no.
I'm never
like.
going with anybody that surprises me when I pee.
Especially,
Like you pop up while I'm peeing, knowing full well that that's what I'm doing, and you're like, "Hey, I need you to come with me real quick." It's like you didn't even have the courtesy to wait. So no,
and beyond that, apparently, we garner from this conversation, Locke's been missing for several days. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, I don't know what he's gotten into in the jungle.
let's go
Is
tell
he, like-
everybody else. And he's like, "No, I need just you."
John, starts walking off, and Sawyer decides to run after him, shoeless. So smash to 3 days ago.
Locke and the camp, the others. Quick cameo here from Cindy, the flight attendant from Oceanic 815. I think I mentioned the last time she was on the show. One of the only crew members to survive the crash. Mm-hmm. Hanging out with palling around with the others.
All right, we're going to do a little segment here, guys, real quick, if you don't mind.
Sure.
This one's called Canonical Knots. So John Locke and a bunch of these other schmucks whose names I don't remember are setting up some tents. Can anyone tell me what knot they are tying on the tent? What knot they're tying on the tent? Matt, any guesses?
Clove hitch.
Close, but no cigar. Matt, that is 0 points on the board. Adam,
Are we?
your chance to take the lead.
Is that going to be a bosun's sheephead bowline?
No. Oh, excellent guess.
So
that would
close.
be-
Three rope-related terms that I just kind of spliced together.
Yeah, no, that is a trucker's hitch. A trucker's hitch.
Is
So
that
thank
a
you
good knot?
for tuning in one more time to Canonical Knots. Tune in next week when no one else will be listening. Thank you.
Yeah, but 3 days ago it was a clove hitch. And
Did you recognize that not just based on like you were watching it? You're like, hey, look at that trucker's hitch.
It's one that I've had to tie several times, like on freelance gigs, and I never do it right. So I was watching, I'm like, oh yeah, look at that. They know how to do it. And because I was called out once by a gaffer by doing it really poorly, and him being like, you don't know what you're doing, do you? And me being like, nah, I have no idea. I'm just kind of tying this rope.
I just
into
keep
knots.
putting I put the ropes together and put them together until I don't have any more rope.
So Ben invites Jenny Boy into his tent.
He's and this is where he's listening to a tape,
Right.
as John walks in, and we can hear on the audio on the tape. Kwan is pregnant. She conceived on the island with her husband. Her husband was sterile when they got here. And I made a note of this because this is like a classic Lost thing here, like a little Lost, like, ooh, this place is so weird. And then and he's listening to it's mighty convenient that Ben is listening to this tape as he's already told Tom. He's like, hey, go get John Locke for me. I need to talk to him real quick. Oh, in the 45 seconds I have in between telling Tom to go get Locke and Locke getting here, I'm going to listen to this weird pregnancy tape that I need to catch up on for whatever reason.
He's just listening, and he's like, "Oh fuck, John, I didn't think you'd get
I'm
here
sorry.
that quickly."
I didn't realize that I could see you from the opening of my tent 50 feet away. I didn't realize you would get here so quickly.
How embarrassing! You caught me with my maternity tapes. Oh no!
I thought that trucker station was going to take you a lot longer. It's really difficult for some people. I do. This is the one bit I want to talk about cinematography. The lighting in the scene is really, really nice. They did a nice job of picking a good material for the tent that just created a really soft source, and they're able to just throw in some negative fill on the opposite side, and it looked very aesthetically pleasing.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because I thought that throughout this episode, a lot of the shots, as disjointed as the composition of the episode itself was, I thought a lot of the shots looked really interesting, really like there was interesting lighting choices as far as like different like shapes of eye lights on people and stuff like that. I thought like, and it was stark enough for me to notice it, whereas normally I don't have much to comment on when JP brings up like cinematography and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like moving shots that they do that they seem to have sort of veered away from since season 1, and they started. And this episode has a lot of those sort of production elements brought back into it, which I really appreciated. It was a decent looking episode.
They probably saved on money because they didn't have to like film flashbacks off the island. So they're like, yeah, we can do dolly shots. Shit.
Yeah, totally.
We'll get a crane.
Ben's like, hey, you gotta do something.
He talks about him being in a wheelchair, and like he gets the cane, and he's like, hey, like this wouldn't have been possible, without you, and I want to teach you more about the island or whatever. And John is like, yeah, I'm ready to go. And Ben's like, well, actually, you're not. You have to do some sort of feat of strength or whatever. I don't remember exactly how he words it, but he's like, you have to face some sort of test or trial or whatever to prove to us that you're ready. So Locke does now refresh me, because I didn't write it down here. Does Ben tell Locke exactly what he needs to do?
No, but it's kind of implied, because there's this sort of awkward shot where we just cut to like a wide shot, and his dad is just like chained up to this big stone, like
that's right.
Yeah. No, he was kind of like, you gotta do what you gotta do, and it was kind of like a Braveheart moment. There's only so many things that can be asked of you when there's a person chained to a tree like that. Like nobody's ever just like, I need you to do this test for me. And what's the test? Go cut them down from the tree.
We lost the key to his chain, so if you can run to the locksmith for us and get this copied.
Jimmy him out of that. That'd be great. Yeah. It's a really nice tree, and he's kind of ruining the view on it.
Having a hostage is really like bringing down the vibe of our whole like tropical others camp kind of thing.
None of us wanted to do this, but Eric chained him to a tree before anybody said no. Just let him go. Dick.
Let's see, where do we go to next? We cut back to
the beach, right?
Hurley and the Peanut Gang on the beach.
We cut back to Charlie in the beach kitchen, just raiding the stash, and Jack walks up and they have a weird conversation. He's like, where you been? He's like, I was camping, and it's like, oh well, what would you do on your camping trip? And it's like, oh, male bonding, blah blah. He doesn't really tell who he went camping with. We find out in a moment that it's Desmond, but Jack's all like, well, the next time you go, count me in. It's like, okay, just invite yourself along, fucking snooping ass Jack.
Look, in this like 5-minute span or whatever that happens here, like it's hilarious because Jack is arguably like the main character of the show, he's programmed that way or marketed that way. This episode treats him like he's just an annoying ass dude working at 7-Eleven, just kind of like popping up like, hey, you guys need a hand with anything? No? All right, well, if you need anything, I'm gonna be over here, just give a shout. Like everybody's like, fucking stay away from Jack. I don't know what shit he's on right now.
Everyone hates Jack. And we have talked ad nauseum about how all of Jack's actions that we have seen in the show cause people to distrust him and not like him. And now it's all coming to the front. Like, everybody's like, should we tell Jack? Nah, he's a fucking douche.
Fuck that guy. Even Hurley, like, he goes up and he's like, what's up, Hurley? And Hurley's like, nothing, man. kind of want to talk to you right now. When you got Hurley saying, "Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna
Hurley's
go
not on
away,"
your
like,
side. Yeah, you've taken the wrong path at some point. Charlie walks over to the tent that we saw Hurley and Jin outside of the night prior. Desmond is there, a character who, JP, you have no idea who they are. Desmond's fucking awesome. I love Desmond.
Yeah.
But so Desmond's there. Charlie, Jin, Hurley. They are hiding a woman named Naomi from Jack, and they talk about how they can't trust him
because he tries to fuck every woman on the island. That's why.
I'm surprised that wasn't the first thing that they said.
Jack's like, hold up, you guys. There's another woman here.
Wait, there's a woman in here?
Take me to her.
There's a woman that I need to, create sort of a subservient relationship between me and her. Like,
I better inspect her vagina.
He's just
Jack and
send
women
her to me, and she like comes into his room, and he turns around, and she's like, oh my god, your dick is out, and he's like, how could I forget? My bad. I called you to my room and then pulled my dick out and forgot about it.
It's a side effect of being on the island.
Fucking Jack is, I've mentioned this before, like he always has a woman in his orbit that he's sort of like fawning or doting upon, and it's always sort of a strange dynamic between whatever woman he's chosen to have in his orbit. And right now it's Juliet. You got to wonder how quickly he would forget about Juliet if he would know about Naomi.
Right.
But yeah, so they say we can't talk to Jack. She's hurt. Something's happened to her. She's hurt. We can't talk to Jack, even though he's the only doctor on the island.
Right. That's the thing. This woman she has an open wound, and they still don't want to ask the jerk doctor.
Yeah, and she's
that's how bad things have gotten for Jack's relationship.
She has
survivors.
very
He's the only
important
doctor.
information for everybody on that island, and they're like, we can't let the doctor know about this. My number one fear is letting the doctor know about this.
I love that so much. We cut to John and Sawyer in the jungle, and they have a little tussle. Sawyer's distrust of John at this point isn't like unwarranted.
Yeah.
Normally, Sawyer's jumping to all sorts of conclusions and being kind of a shit. And in this instance, it's like, no, John's been missing. He's acting shady as fuck. Yeah. He's clearly leading me into something that is a trap or some sort of something that is other than what he's saying.
He's trying to get him to come and kill Ben. So he's like, come with me to commit a murder.
Right. Like, nothing about this seems right.
So, like, Sawyer could say as much as he wants, like, look, I'm not killing anybody when I get there. You're along for a murder, right?
He still comes along.
Like, police don't give slack to two dudes just because he's like, look, dude, when I got into Benny's car, man, Benny did tell me we were going to go rob that, bank. But I said, I don't want no part of this, man. Don't do it. And then he took me to the bank and robbed it. And I'm plum pickled why I'm here in this cop car with y'all right now.
Oh man, that is how I'm going to refer to everything from now on. I'm plum pickled. Pickled. That's going on a t-shirt. Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
They have a tussle. Sawyer, this is I made a note about this because I thought this was actually kind of interesting. Locke, everything we know about Locke thus far is Locke is in his element on the island. He when it comes to island shit, Locke runs the show. Sawyer gets the drop on him, yanks his knife from him, and actually, while he's got the knife to his throat, like Locke loses his composure. Yeah, and I don't know, if it's the first time that it's happened ever in the show, but it's the first time that we've seen it on the podcast here. And he's like, "Why can't you go?" He's like, "Cause I can't." And he's like on the edge of a breakdown, which is like a pretty uncontrolled breakdown too, from what I can tell, and it's. I don't necessarily ever go to bat for Josh Holloway and Terry O'Quinn's acting chops or anything like that, but like this little bit here, I was like, all right, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. So then we cut back to the beach.
We cut to Saeed digging.
Right. I love this because like Saeed is of course just doing work. Saeed and Jin are keeping this fucking place together.
Yeah.
Yes. They're always working. They're always doing something, and just the look and the little exchange, that is like, oh, hey, Hurley, hey, Saeed. And he's like, oh, he's still He's still standing there like, yes, we know who the real adult in the room is here. It's fucking Clutch Saeed, as always.
Well, it'll just be like Charlie's like, hey, man, I went down to the beach and came up with a new song today. What did you do? And Saeed's like, I created an irrigation system for this island. And we've got some ditches for cars once we can invent them. I just need a couple of batteries. Like,
yeah.
My question was when it showed him digging, I was like, well, now who died? Like,
oh, right. Yeah, I had the same thought. I'm like, oh, Christ. But he looks a little too happy to be digging
yeah,
a
then
grave.
I was like, okay, it's probably not a grave.
Yeah.
Last time we saw Saeed digging. Oh, boy.
Yeah. No.
ooh.
No, because they traditionally bury bodies too close to the water table where they will start to rot. So, like, it couldn't possibly be a grave. It's too far into the woods.
Are you digging a grave? No, our cemetery's 30 feet from the high tide line. It's just near, it's over there if you're looking for the cemetery.
Yeah, but you can't be doing a eulogy with like the ocean coming in and everything. Like, ooh, shit. Everybody get off the beach real quick. You're going to get your feet in the water.
So we are introduced to Naomi.
Yeah, like you said, they get the adult, the one person that they can actually trust in the island, Saeed, to come talk to the wounded Naomi. And Naomi tells the story of the freighter. She's a helicopter pilot sent and her helicopter's from the freighter that's 80 miles off the island. It was sent by a woman named Penelope Widmore, who is desperately searching for handsome Desmond Hume. And I don't blame her. Look at that guy. God damn. She tells this whole story about parachuting and jumping out of the helicopter and all of this stuff. And Saeed is like, yeah, did you guys see a helicopter?
Uh-huh.
Did you,
all right,
did
honey.
you
Right.
Did she have any ID? Like, you guys remember the last time somebody jumped on an island, right? It turned out to be a whole bullshit thing.
That's why I love Saeed, though, because, like, he feels like a real person that knows what he's doing. He's not just some gullible character like, oh.
He was half a second away from just like being like, did anybody see the helicopter? And they shake their head no. And just like standing up and shaking his head and just like walking out the room. Like, nah.
We got to kill this bitch.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm going to go back
I've already got a grave.
We got a fresh grave ready. It's got Naomi's name all over
In the grave.
I woke up this morning just feeling like I was going to need to dig a grave, and I started digging one. I didn't know who it was for. But
he's understandably suspicious of her because this is like almost the same exact story that Ben told when he was posing as Henry Gale during season 2 with his hot air balloon and his bullshit.
What if she'd have been like, my name is Henry Gale, and he'd be like, no, we fucking heard this one.
okay, you guys called me into the tent for this?
It's like every once in a while I imagine what a show would be like on another network like HBO or Showtime or something like that, and she goes, my name's Henry Gale, and he's just like, get the fuck out of here. But then she hits him with the Uno reverse. And she's like, yeah, I this is a real story. Check it out. Sat phone. Bam.
Yeah. She was talking about how they were doing differential GPS, and I was like, that sounds like bullshit science. So then I got on the Wikipedia page for differential GPS, and it is very much a real thing, and I understood almost none of it, but it seems to be a real thing that you would use on the ocean. So,
well, because he asked her, he's like, so you knew about the island? And she's like, we don't know about the island. Penelope Widmore gave us a set of coordinates that are literally in the middle of the ocean.
Right.
Yeah, we thought it was a fool's errand, and then blip.
Yeah. Well, and then she also says, cementing the fact that they believed it was a fool's errand. Apparently, the wreck of Oceanic 815 has been found under the ocean full of bodies, which is a super creepy thing that she just kind of slides under the door.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not faring well for all of our heroes.
But then that's another super losty thing, just like the tape. It's like, ooh, there's the mystery aspect of the island. It's like, oh, fuck.
But just kind of slipped in, just real quick.
And Matt, you probably remember this, like, back in the day when the show was on. Like, one of the question was like, oh, it's purgatory. It's like...
Right.
And so like this is it's like this is one of those things that feeds into that narrative.
This
Just
is
like,
where those theories were coming from, where it's like, yeah, you
Right.
guys are all dead. I don't know if you
this is
know
all dead,
this,
it's all
but
purgatory, right?
Well, and they straight up fucking John's dad
Right.
figures that out in like 10 fucking
yeah, man,
minutes.
he's like, he's a little hot here for heaven. But
That's such a good line. He's so sassy in that scene. We'll get to
and
it.
oh my God.
What I love about Saeed here too, though, was like, sure, the only adult in the room, but he's like, was there a helicopter? No. Oh, okay. And she's like, haha, I have a sat phone. And he's like, oh shit. But like, had that conversation continued for like 5 seconds longer in that scene, the follow-up question would have been, does this sat phone work? Well, no, it doesn't.
Well, actually,
Well, fuck
funny
you,
you should mention
spy.
that.
Like,
Oh my God.
from there, we cut to Locke and Sawyer. They're stopping
Do
for
we?
water. Sawyer is just standing in the creek with his cut up feet, just like like Yosemite Sam with his ass on fire. Like runs into the creek.
How far away was he pissing from his tent where he didn't have time to just run back real quick and get his
no
fucking
one would
shoes?
have asked him shit if he just sauntered back, put his shoes on, and they're like, oh, Sawyer, what you putting your shoes on for? Because we're in the jungle, bitch. Like, why are you walking around barefoot? That's not something people are gonna question. He could have just grabbed them, come back. And another thing is like, you know, after seeing the whole episode, you know, there's no point for Sawyer to be barefoot. It doesn't come into play. It's
No.
not like he's got to walk across glass at some point later.
It's not his John
or he
McClane
gets
moment,
stabbed
like-
in the foot or anything. No, he just happens to be barefoot, and it's only ever acknowledged when he just walks into the creek like, that's refreshing. It happened, and I'm like, has he been barefoot this whole time? Like that wasn't factored in.
It's just a weird thing.
It was weird.
So, Sawyer confesses to killing someone in Sydney after a little bit of probing from Locke, and so we sort of start to get a little bit of an idea of as to why maybe there is an explanation as to why Locke picked Sawyer. You know, Sawyer has said he's not a murderer, but he is. But he does say that it was the wrong guy. Again, like that makes it okay.
Tomato.
But I mean, so there's a little bit of stuff there, and then from there we have another half-ass flashback to 3 days ago.
So then Ben's like, hey, it's time. You gotta fucking gut your dad.
I really disliked this scene
Yeah, it's not
a
great.
lot.
Yeah.
I didn't because he comes out, he's like, okay, it's time. It's like, what is it time? I didn't realize that we're scheduling our ritual sacrifices here in others' camp. But
Everybody
it's
done
time.
with dinner? Time to go kill a person.
Well, it's almost like let's do this quick while everybody's at dinner, because everybody sort of starts to wander in. It's like
They're just
okay,
looking
A,
around.
You're making a huge spectacle out of it to begin with, but then B, like, I don't know, the whole slowly approaching crowd and the weird, I don't know, it just the whole thing just like bugged the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, and it's like it had like a weird like Wicker Man feel to it, but to know that like the others are just people. They're not they're not children of the
Right.
corn creations or
Right,
anything that are
right.
like ritual sacrifice. We need it. No, they're just so everybody suddenly just being cool with like, oh shit, I forgot it's Tuesday. Killing a dude again. No,
we gotta go by the pillar and watch a man
fucking
be murdered.
scientists. Like what?
Yeah.
And the fact that it felt like there wasn't the angel or the devil sort of thing going on with this. Like
Right, there was. Yeah.
Ben's telling him you got to kill him, like you got to do it, and then his dad is even egging him on as well, like you like you soft, like you ain't shit. So it's like he's got both of them being like, just kill me, just do it, just do it. Like
We established that John's dad is fairly convinced that he's in the afterlife or something like that.
Yes.
But I think that's the only reason that sort of justifies a lot of his sort of character shift. Now, granted,
I mean, he is kind of a shitheel to begin with.
right?
Yes.
He's a shitheel, but he's a professional con man. Like, if
Right.
he should be able to talk his way out of this. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like, why isn't? Yeah, that's a good point, JP. Why does he take the tack of egging it on instead of trying to weasel his way out of it? That's a good point, JP. I didn't even think of that.
Because in sort of, because I know that we're missing an episode somewhere between when we've last seen John's dad to now, and they allude to a little bit of that, but my guess would be he doesn't think that this is real, that he can actually be killed, that he's in some sort of afterlife, so it doesn't, like, yeah, you can kill me, whatever, I'm just gonna
I'll probably just pop up back where I first popped up here.
Right.
Respawn. Like,
but even so, like, I feel like it's a little strange, like, the con artist in him who's always having to have a contingency plan would probably be a little bit more,
you would think, yeah,
have a little bit more sort of
I think both of you have pretty well put into words the feeling that I couldn't. Right. JP, you're describing Cooper's sort of character change here, and Matt, sort of the unbelonging of this scene as far as tone is concerned.
So he doesn't do it, and Ben calls him out in front of everybody, like, hey, this isn't actually, John's not that special.
This is the second time that this has happened where somebody didn't commit a murder and then got shit on for not doing it.
Right.
How dare you not murder? This is an island of murdering. Okay, so either get on board with this, or which for half a second there, because I mean I haven't watched this episode since it aired, so I didn't remember where it was going or anything like that. But I honestly thought Ben killed the dad there for having he hit him so hard in the head. I was like, I guess it was one of those, like, well, if you're not gonna murder him, somebody's gotta murder him.
So we cut from this weird Temple of Doom scene back to the present. Locke and Sawyer arrive at the Pirates of the Caribbean set.
The Black Pearl. I mean, Black Rock.
Black Rock. We will see more of the Black Rock a little bit when we see some more season 1 episodes down the road.
This has my personal favorite scene. So John and Sawyer are, walking through the ship, and Sawyer is looking around and be like, hey, this is cool, okay, whatever. And he says, what's in the boxes? Now, the boxes say explosives on it, which we see a little bit later when Rousseau comes and gets some explosives. However, I couldn't see the entire word, and it just looked like a line VES, which I assumed meant olives, that it was just a box of olives. And he's like, what's in the boxes? I was like, olives, you
olives,
dumb fuck.
Dude.
Clearly, it's a box of fucking, it says it right on the thing. But then it's even it doesn't matter, because once the camera can see, no, it's still a clearly labeled box and it says fucking explosives on it.
Well, we're pretty sure that Sawyer's barely literate.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Based off that letter we're about to hear.
They get here, and this is where we find out that Locke's pulled the old switcheroo.
Oh, no.
He opens the door and locks Sawyer in the brig of the Black Rock, and Sawyer rips the bag off the dude's head, and it is Anthony Cooper, not Ben, like Locke was saying the whole time. Classic Locke, and one of his tricks. Remember how we used to talk about how Locke would prank people, doing the got your nose and the orange peel in the mouth? This time is that classic trick where he says he kidnapped one person, but in fact kidnapped somebody else. Classic Locke. We come back to the beach. Hurley and Saeed are messing with this radio in their super secret hideout, which Kate stumbles into. And by super secret hideout, I mean a stretch of beach probably 10 feet from Saeed's tent.
Yeah, they were just out in the open, it's just kind of so Hurley, get my bag.
Hey man, we don't want anybody to know about this radio, so let's go to the secret hideout.
The look on Saeed's face, oh fuck, it's fucking Kate.
Can you do me a favor and just pretend you? Can you be cool for once and just
No,
pretend you didn't see this?
fucking cannot be cool. Like, I literally wrote
she's
she's
like,
gonna be a fucking narc.
I'm gonna go tell Jack, bitch. I know. That's why I'm asking you to be cool.
Snitch, yeah.
He has a new girlfriend. He doesn't care about you.
The second side was like, I need you to be quiet about this. I was like, why would you think you've been living with her for the better part of 3 months? You know she's not gonna shut up about this.
I need you to pinky promise before I tell you anything. Nothing breaks a pinky promise.
Oh, so that's a real short scene, but that was like, okay, so we know what's gonna happen later. Kate's gonna snitch. We cut back.
I also do love that Saeed's like, I've never seen this technology, but I'm confident I can fix it.
Well, it's nice that it's touchscreen back in 2007.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's top of the line right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it super user friendly, pretty easy to figure out. But lo and behold, he like turns it on. He's like, "Oh, there's something blocking our transmission." He's like, "Do you remember back in like day 3 when you guys had a radio and you couldn't get out? And that transmission's still there. You guys obviously didn't fix it."
Right. Yeah.
We go back to the Black Rock, and this is a little tiny scene. Rousseau, like Locke's sitting there. Rousseau comes in, and he's like, "Hey Danielle, hey John, what's up? Oh, I just need some dynamite." Well, it's where the dynamite's normally stashed.
Be careful. It's unstable.
Yeah,
He's like,
it's like
I know
leaky.
that, John. Like, I've been here way longer than you.
I've been
Right.
using this dynamite before you've been on this
like,
island.
Like, I came here knowing that there's dynamite here. Like, I don't need you to tell me about the dynamite. Like, cram it. Classic Rousseau weirdness. Like, the queen of weird. Like, every time we've only seen her a handful of times, but every time she's doing something weird.
Right. Like
part of the reason
John
why I love her.
feels at home on the island, but he does not hold a fucking candle to Rousseau.
No.
No.
Not
She's
at all.
one with the jungle. Like,
She's that Homer Simpson meme where he just like blends into the hedge.
Into the
Yes.
hedge,
That's
yep.
her in that jungle, just like, nah, this is my home. Like,
right.
Part French, part predator, part island.
All badass.
She doesn't need you, Locke. She
No.
knows where the dynamite is.
Yeah. Don't
Rest
fucking
in peace,
mansplain it to her.
Mira.
she's
You
just
will be
like,
missed.
and hey, next time, don't be using the dynamite place for your little hostage taking, if that's what's going on here.
There's a lot of island out there.
Seems
Why
like a
you have
bad
to-
idea. Hey, Locke, I don't know if you know this. It's dynamite. It's unstable, bro.
But it is a fun little scene where they're like, what are you doing? Dynamite? What are you
Dynamite
doing?
shit.
Hostage situation? Cool.
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 Cool. You don't tell
this is
anybody
like-
I was here. I won't tell anybody you were here. Cool.
Oh, yeah. No.
It's a
Catch you
nice
later, man.
juxtaposition between the Saeed and Kate, we know you're going to snitch episode that happened just prior to this. And then this scene is like, oh, this is the one where we know this. We know.
Yes, both
Don't-
of
don't
them.
say nothing,
None of
won't
them
be
were going to say
nothing.
anything. They might as well have been ships passing in the wind, like never
Right.
even knowing that they were there. Because
This
Right.
is one of those scenes that absolutely does not need to be in that episode. But unlike most instances where that happens, I'm super happy it's here.
yeah, because it really did. It's so short. It's so quick. It's like they had her on set already, and they're like, "Hey, you just like want to hop into costume real quick and do this? We'll write up a funny little 30-second scene or something." And she's like, "What will I be doing?" It's like, I don't know, shit. You want to like come in and pick up some
Rousseau
dynamite?
shit, like,
I
do
don't know.
whatever.
Do you feel like Rousseau would have dynamite? Yes, you're getting dynamite.
Oh my god. We flash back to 2 days ago. Richard talked. This is the Richard scene.
Yeah.
Locke's brooding on the hill over the camp, and Richard comes up. Richard, the last time we saw Richard here on the podcast was when we watched Man Behind the Curtain. Richard, speaking of people who've been on the island for a while,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Richard's one of those characters that we don't know a lot about. We know he's on the show a lot. But yeah, it looks like save for a haircut, he hasn't aged a day since, what was it, 92, 91, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm. Yeah, and it's so weird because there was such a, like, he was the figure that, like, Ben looked up to and was, like, trying, Richard was like this crazy like island.
Well, he's one of the
entity.
quote unquote hostiles that
Right.
the Dharma
And he's so
Initiative
mysterious
is
and
sort of
he's
at war with.
so
Yeah.
interesting. And now there's such a dynamic shift where it's like Ben's kind of running things and I can't do shit about it. So yeah, I know all of his tricks, but like I'm kind of powerless to do shit.
Yeah, it's like it tells us a little bit about this Richard versus Ben conflict that is extant here on the island. But yeah, he gives the air of real, sort of powerlessness. But then he also sort of lays the foundation, if it hasn't been done so for already, of there's already obviously some sort of power balance existing between Ben and Locke, and Richard just like reinforces that. He tells he's like Ben set that whole Temple of Doom thing up because he wanted to humiliate you. He wanted to embarrass you. He doesn't want he amongst the others. John obviously has some sort of cachet, and Ben's trying to put the kibosh on it. Cutting back to the Black Rock, and so this is where we finally get the scoop on how Cooper actually feels about the island. He's convinced that he's dead, and this is hell.
I mean, my man
Based
put it
on
together
his
faster than
based on
anybody
his
else.
story, I would have came to that conclusion too.
Because Cooper thinks he's in hell, he's pretty liberal with his exposition. He's got nothing to lose, right? So he tells us about his whole history.
You want to know everybody got conned? Shit, here we go. So 72, it was Tampa Bay. Like,
yeah, he just rattles it all off, and it dawns on Sawyer that Cooper's probably the man who conned his mom or his parents or whatever, and this is the guy. This is the guy he's been looking for.
And for once, he's justified to be a violent piece of shit. Like, come on, Sawyer, do it. Fucking just go to town.
Cuts back to I think one final flashback to yesterday.
Yeah.
The others are packing up camp. They're going to leave Locke and Cooper behind. Ben tells Locke that they'll leave a trail, but don't bother following them unless he comes back with Cooper's dead body.
Okay, so hey,
Manipulation,
welcome back to that show where JP talks about survival stuff that he knows a little bit about. Those types of tents weigh a fucking ton. Like, if you want to be portable and not leaving fucking tracks, you need smaller, lightweight tents. Oh, we'll leave you a trail that you can follow. Motherfucker, you're carrying the heaviest fucking tents that you could put, like a big pole, like,
Dude,
no. Yeah, obviously you're going to leave a trail.
Ben's tent had a night table and a fucking desk and shit.
Ben's like, I got an elephant.
Homie, like...
I put all my shit on top of my elephant. That's how I travel around. You guys don't have your own elephants?
Like, in the background of that scene, just as that flashback's ending, and you see the trail of others like walking off with all the shit. Like, they look like a...
I'd have loved it if there was just one guy, like you see that huge line of people going, but there's just one guy at the back of the line with like a broom, just like sweeping up the tracks as they're going.
the big palm frond, like...
No, they gotta pull up like a 2-man in a truck or some shit just to get all the furniture and like heavy tent poles and shit. Like,
That's
no,
what
man,
I wanted
you
to
want
see. Somebody in that line just by himself dragging that 2-drawer end table, just like muttering to himself, "Why do we take this on every fucking Ben's gonna
It's
have
the
a
only
night
thing
table."
that fits my maps.
right now. Juxtapose that against the episode where was it Mr. Echo and Jin are like hiding from the others and their feet are right in front of them and they're perfectly silent.
Yeah.
Now I want a wide shot of that where they're being perfectly silent and they're carrying all this shit. Like, I don't think so. These are not the same folks.
Yeah. They're so quiet. They don't leave footprints.
Yeah.
They walk above the grass. Now, see, if Kate had been talking about like earlier in the episode, like, oh, I can't sleep like unless I'm in my tent. If her tent was like the tent fucking Ben had set up, I totally understand. I'd be like, I'd only sleep in that one too. You've got a TV hooked up in there and everything. Like, that's awesome.
Let's see. We caught back to the Black Rock. It's getting close to the end of the episode. The cuts are starting to get a little bit shorter, a little bit more frenetic. So we were at the Black Rock. Cooper laid his thing out. It started to dawn on us. Sorry, we cut to this flashback. We cut back to the Black Rock. Sawyer whips out the letter. He's like, I'm on to you. You had sex with my mom. You robbed her. You called, my dad, whatever. And he goes on the whole thing, makes him read the letter. Cooper confesses. He's like, yeah, I remember your mom, Jasper, Mississippi, 72, whatever. Sawyer's trying to get this closure. He's been desperately looking for it basically his entire life. And he's trying to make him read the letter. And Cooper, to the end, he's like, yeah, I'll finish it. And he tears it up. And like,
what a
dick
it. Move, man.
That is, and that's the fun. Like, you already knew what Sawyer was gonna do, but like that right there, that's finally the thing where Sawyer knew in his mind, like there's no going back. Of course you wouldn't give me the one thing I need to maybe create a semblance of a life for myself after this lifelong crusade of looking for you, of looking for Mr. Sawyer. Mm-hmm. And so he just grabs the chain that's hanging from the roof of the just wraps it around his neck and strangles the life out of him.
Yeah.
And it's a TV strangulation, so it only takes about 8 seconds.
Oh,
right. They always die very quickly. This is, and this is one of those like long line of like cliched things where like somebody is getting choked out and the person that's doing it just like has a look on their face like, why'd you make me do this to you? Why? This isn't me. I didn't want to be doing this. You made me.
I didn't want to be doing this, except I've thought about it every day since I was 12.
So thanks for coming out, Anthony Cooper. Thanks for stopping by.
And John immediately like lets him out, and him and Sawyer are best friends now, I think.
Maybe, kind of. We cut back to the beach. Remember that snitching that we were pretty sure was going to happen? That happens.
Stomps on up like, Jack, I have shit to tell you.
Jack and Julie are just enjoying a fruit plate, enjoying a vista, a little afternoon nosh, eyeballing the horizon, talking about whatever.
Jack looked like he had a charcuterie board, like like had a nice tray of meats and cheeses and shit going on. Like,
but yeah, so Kate stomps up. She's like, "No, Saeed's got a radio and he won't let me play with it." And Jack's like, "Go talk to your mother."
I love this.
Don't make me pull this car over. I swear to
Juliet's
God.
Like, "Oh no, let's. Should we tell her?" And Jack's like, "No." Like,
I love shit like that where somebody like talks about a secret dead ass in front of somebody like, "Hey, like we should let him in on it." And it's like, "No, they're not ready yet." Nah. And then the other person's just like, "Oh, okay." I'd be standing there like, you don't get it. Like, you had an opportunity to keep it from me, and that was before I walked up, and you spoke about it in front of me. Now I get to know. You get to walk away like I'm not worthy of a secret.
I loved just like Cade comes up and she's acting like a kid, snitching on Saeed. She tells him, like, there's a reason why nobody trusts you anymore. It's because of her, point at Juliet, and because you were camping out with the others. And so she's being all petulant. And then Jack comes back and is petulant right back with the, "Nah, no secrets for you. I was thinking about telling you, but no, I'm not gonna." Fuck off.
Yeah, it's finally, Kate gets just shut down, and nobody likes her.
Nobody likes anybody. Cut to back to the Black Rock, and this is the last bit before the end of the episode. Locke tells Sawyer, he's like, "Hey, FYI, in case you didn't figure this out, Juliet's a mole." And Sawyer's like, "I fucking knew it."
Well, but okay, here's the difference. Okay, Saeed instantly is like, I do not trust you.
You mean Sawyer?
I'm going to ask the right questions. And Sawyer's like, "You're going back undercover?" And John's like, "No, that I've been lying to you this whole time. You fucking idiot." Yeah. Here's my undercover fucking cop badge, and he holds up a rock. Like no, I'm not undercover. I needed you to murder my dad.
He should have just like looked at him for like 10 seconds straight of silence, and then just been like, Yeah, I'm going back undercover. Sorry. Let everybody know.
He starts walking off into the jungle and gets about 10 steps. He looks over his shoulder at him just one more time, just like,
It's fucking dumbass.
idiot.
Fucking hayseed. God damn. Locke gives Sawyer a tape. Gives Sawyer a tape so that he can prove that Juliet is a mole.
Yeah.
And then, Sawyer's like, wait, so you're not coming back? And then Locke is just like, I'm on my own journey, man.
Right.
Life's a journey, and I'm on it. So, peace be with you, man. Namaste, blessings. I'm out. He goes off to join the others, and and I wish that I don't remember what the last shot of it was, but I wish it would have just been a shot of Sawyer like staring confusedly directly at the camera, just like,
I gotta walk back all that way without shoes. Like I didn't fucking tell you not to bring shoes, dude.
So wait, can I take the dead dude's shoes? Real quick.
Oh yeah.
So that's the Brig. Now let's do the end of the show. We're gonna do the Lost MVP. This is your favorite character of the episode, minus any memories, context, anything that you remember about the show. Anything about the actor themselves, whatever. Just this 45 minutes. Matt, who is your Lost MVP for the Brig?
I'm gonna go with Juliet. Simply because she does next to nothing in the episode. But she's like one of the older people that's just like, since we kind of know well, I don't really know if we know she's a mole. We know that they reveal it at the end or whatever, but she doesn't really say anything while Jack and Kate are talking there in that scene until she's just like, yo, we should tell her. And he's like, no, I don't think she's like, nah, I really think we should tell her. And then he's like, nah, I don't want to tell her. And gets up and walks away. And what does she do? She just looks at Kate like, oh, sorry, can't tell you. Like,
Guess we're not telling you.
Can you fuck off? I'm eating my raspberries or whatever.
Like everybody else is running around trying to figure things out. And she's just like, I know things. Should we let her know things? I'm going to talk about the fact that I know things that she doesn't know in front of her. And then when I can't tell her about it, I'm just going to look at her like, well, I wish you knew what I knew, but you don't.
But you don't.
Outstanding. Adam, MVP.
I put I think this is a first for me. I'm actually going to give it to James Sawyer Ford.
Yeah.
Anthony Cooper is a colossal piece of shit. I'm glad he's dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
JP, what about you?
It's a first for me too. Kate Austin.
What?
Yeah.
Air horns.
Because finally she realizes that everyone hates her.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel so good. Kate just got dunked on left and right, and Claire wasn't in this episode, so like it's just a fucking win-win.
Nice.
Lost forever. This is the opposite side of this coin, Matt. Your least favorite character of the episode, minus your memories of other episodes, minus context, minus whatever. The one person in this 45 minutes in the Brig that you really could have done without. Who is your lost forever, Matt?
Well, it's kind of a cheat, I guess, because it's kind of a bit more than one person, but it's all of the people that stopped to watch John try to murder his dad. Like, to everybody that just like was like carrying food to the table.
That's 100% a legit answer.
It's like you're just carrying food to the table and just stopped, and they're like, oh, like nobody said anything. Nobody did anything. They just all stopped and watched to wait for potential murder. Like
not one person was like, "Hey, stop! Don't do that."
Hey, is he telling you we do this all the time? Because we don't do this all the time.
Yeah,
this is not a normal thing.
It's just peer pressure.
I'm sorry. We normally are just trying to find out about diseases and shit like that. This murder shit is not our usual jam.
Very low on our list of priorities.
Adam, who's your lost forever?
Mine is going to be the leader of the murder audience, Ben Linus. He was so annoying throughout this entire episode. His little wanting to embarrass Locke, his struggle to clutch to any little bit of power, is attempting to manipulate Locke into, and eventually succeeding, murdering another person, and the fact that like Richard's like obviously the other side of the Ben coin, and I like Richard more than I like Ben. So yeah, like Ben was my thing. It was just his, all of his bullshit throughout the episode. JP, what about you? Who's your lost forever?
Even though we talked a lot about this person, and I very much enjoyed the scene, I have to say Rousseau.
How dare you?
Listen, if anyone else were in the Black Rock and just saw her shady ass walking in and being like, I'm taking this dynamite, don't ask any fucking questions, she is up to something, and I do not care for it. Like, if it were anyone else being like, where are you going with that? Her first words would have been, first of all, lower your fucking voice.
This dynamite is unstable, and your vibrations could set it off. I don't want that.
Like, what is she doing? She could have, like, if she would have been going for the fucking box of olives, I would have understood it. But no, she's going for the fucking explosives, and I don't trust it.
What are you doing here? I'm here to get olives. Jack found a can of cheese spread and a salami that he sliced up for a charcuterie out on the beach, so I'm here to get olives. Burning questions. This is we do this. We ask this at the end of every episode. Just if you had a question that was raised by this episode that was not answered within the episode that you either hope has been answered in a previous episode or will be answered in the future. Matt, did you have a burning question?
Not necessarily, but during the course of us talking, it kind of came up, and it's, do the others have enough people to be able to lug the type of encampments that they made? I don't think they have the equipment, the arsenal, the personnel. Like,
JP, did you have one?
Obviously, all the mystery around the flight being found on the bottom of the ocean. That's super interesting.
Yeah.
Good one. I would love to know more about that.
We sort of blazed past this. We normally ask this before we do the MVP, but now is as good a time as any. Did we like this episode? Was this episode any good? Matt, how do you feel about it?
It had its moments. Like, the stuff with Locke and Sawyer was good. And then all of the stuff, I think, in the actual room of the Brig was well done, well written, well acted.
Yeah, totally.
But the out of time stuff, the messing with the timeline didn't really work. And then you guys kind of brought it up earlier, the flashbacks aren't real flashbacks to the way that the show does the flashbacks. They're only flashbacks in the sense of how they ended up editing the episode, not that they're legit flashbacks. And then everything like on the beach with Kate and Jack is just bullshit.
Typical Kate and Jack annoying bullshit.
Totally. Adam, did you like the episode?
I sort of, yes. If they would have just, I don't even need context of previous episodes. If this episode was just cut together in chronological order, I would have loved it. Yeah.
No, I'm the exact same way. If it weren't for the way it was edited, I did very much enjoy this episode. So yeah.
So that's pretty much it. That's the Brig, y'all. Thanks for listening. Matt, I sort of dunked on you earlier about your acting chops, but the thing is, you are actually quite the accomplished actor. As a matter of fact, when we were all in college together, Matt and I did several shows together.
Yes, indeed.
And yeah, you're a talented fella. I think you. What do you got going on as far as that's concerned?
Yeah. So been keeping up with the acting, slowed down a little bit as of late, wedding a few years back, and then, baby just happened in 2020. Best part of 2020, we'll say. But no, the last couple of shows that I've done, actually, I've done with the Constructivists, which is a organization out of Milwaukee that's headed up by a former Oshkosh alum.
But I've been to several of Matt's shows, and if you're in the Milwaukee area and you are listening to this podcast, definitely check it out, because they're doing all sorts of stuff that is not your typical, like, we're doing Fiddler on the Roof again. Like, they do some pretty cool and pretty crazy productions. Mm-hmm. So definitely keep an eye out for shows coming up.
So thank you again, Matt, so much for coming on the show, taking time out of your night to talk about
Lost with us.
We'd love to have you back in the future.
Love to be back.
And if you at home are trying to be lost with us, please check out our next episode. We'll be talking about Season 3, Episode 21, Greatest Hits, which is, I believe, a Charlie episode. It might be our first Charlie episode.
I fucking forgot Charlie was in this show.
You are everybody.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that is me.
Backup vocals track 2? Shut the fuck up.
Well, thank you for listening to this episode of Lost on Lost.
I'm Adam.
I'm JP.
Do you have any idea what's going on the show?
No.
Me neither. Lost on Lost is produced and edited by Adam Busher and JP Russell.
Recorded on location in Milwaukee, Wisconsin and Los Angeles, California.
Our show is hosted at Podbean. Find us there or wherever you find your podcasts.
Thanks to Danny Schmitz of Lost in a Name for our theme music.
Lostpedia and the community of contributors there.
Random.org for creating the watch order.
Check out our Facebook page, Lost on Lost, or find us on Twitter and Instagram at Lost on Lost 1.
Don't follow those jerks at Lost on Lost 2.
You can also email us at wearelostonlost@gmail.com. If you like what we're getting into here, buy us a coffee at coffee.com/wearelostonlost.
That's ko-fi.com/wearelostonlost.